Okay, the sun is outside, we're in this dark, tank little place.
Yeah.
That's okay, because that's how we roll. Right.
Woo.
So to begin with this evening, I would like to read you a poem.
Woo.
I am so cool. No, really, I am. Cool and composed, nonchalant, sometimes even impudent. A walking challenge in red lipstick. Unfazed by rejection, or so it seems. So good I make you think there is no prying to be done. I am so cool that I smoke.
Woo!
Just enough to know how to hold that prop just right, but not too much, because then it would be merely a bad habit. My diet, one of decadence and deprivation. Days of nothing just to make up for that escargot and pheasant under glass, because if it isn't beautiful, I won't do it. Hip, so damn hip, I will wake up at midnight just to go to a party. Cool enough to be always slightly miserable for no apparent reason. I am so cool, I only date younger men.
Woo! 27.
Woo, 23. Yeah, that's right.
18.
Because a predator, I think myself, delighted by the possibility of that pretty face, guarded, but so easily molded, and perhaps a little cruel. That rough marble, ripe with awkwardness, that won't demand anything of me but the game. I am so cool, I hate being bored. So cool, I walk for miles in heels, click-clack, clicking, clacking, chasing the buggers away. I am so cool, I don't remember people's names. Oh well, I am sorry, but really, I do know so many people. And I do know them. Almost. So cool, I drink too much too often, and sometimes because I couldn't stand anyone's company if I didn't. Misanthropy. The poets had it, and so do I. That disease of otherness only caught by hating the masses and loving the few. I rise out of introspection only for those moments when the secrets slip out, when you shake, rattle, and roll with something I can be awed by. So indifferent. That's me. I make you all work hard to move me, and then still I walk away. But then, oh then, love, that awful thing and unrequited, grabs me, shakes me out and down, ruining my stride. I am flat on my ass from a want that makes me dizzy. I shout behind closed doors, release small ragged screams into shadows, because otherwise I would maul you, crush you to me, gnaw at every tender part of you until I could be myself again. I haven't eaten anything for weeks. Starving and so hot my fingers burn from the inside out. This hunger is a wolf swallowing the world. But to see you is to feel huge and wrong, a drag queen, a clown, a pockmark howling banshee. I am an awesome beast with 6 arms and skin blue from holding my breath for you. I am slowly breaking apart, splitting open, spilling out a humid swamp of need. You inch back and back and back and back, and as I lose ground, everything I have ever lost, I am losing again all at once, and it really does feel like I will die. I am roadkill in a red dress. Flesh shredded and wounds revealed. This skin I can't own anymore. This itching body suffering untouched. Any more of this and I will have to fly to Olympus, hang out with the gods, my only escape, because I am slowly disappearing, becoming almost vapor. Because I cannot be here anymore. Cannot be here if I fail at this again. And then, in the shower, that safe place, Fierce needles of heat pricking into me. I remember refugees, Holocaust victims, all those spinsters. The ravages of loneliness felt by so many. And who am I? Who the fuck am I to ask to be loved? Aching, but reminding myself that you cannot heal me, save me, see me, and so I will never tell. My feet do a shuffle as I pull it back in, rein it in, press it down, pull that desire in, make my eyes impassive, gotta go, got to get out, got to pull the veil down, throw out something witty, something absurd, quicksilver words fast enough to hide it, and then out, outside, furious, moving on down the street, because as long as I keep going, I won't fall apart. Smoking, to still the thoughts, all barbed with poison meant for me and me alone. And then I whip myself with insults until composure comes down at last. And then maybe I put on a smirk. Yeah, there we go. Cool. You gotta watch your back. Well, I beg your pardon. Walk the straight and narrow track. If you walk with Jesus, He's gonna save your soul. You gotta keep the devil way down in the hole. He's got the fire and the fury at his command. Well, you don't have to worry if you hold on to Jesus' hand. We'll all be safe from Satan when the thunder rolls. You just gotta keep the devil way down in the hole. And all the angels sing about Jesus' mighty sword, and He'll shield you with their wings and keep you close to the Lord. Don't you pay no heed to temptation, for His hands are so cold. You just gotta help me keep the devil way down in the hole. 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 And all the angels sing about Jesus' mighty sword, and He'll shield you with a ring and keep you close to the Lord. Oh, don't pay heed to temptation, for His hands are so cold. You just gotta help me keep the devil way down in the hole. Way down in the hole. Down in the hole. Way 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 down in the hole. I'm excited. Let's tell my story.
Whoa!
Girl camp.
Damn!
Okay. Because, are you ready? I'm gonna tell you a story.
Woo!
There was once a young girl who knew that she was a princess.
Go, princess.
A princess of dirty bare feet, crooked teeth, and cast-off clothes. But she knew what she was meant for. Up in a tree, her balcony, of course, she imagined that those jacked-up cars buried in crabgrass were gilded coaches. The peeling paint of rentals, instead, arced and pillared. Her pet wolf, though epileptic and inbred, would, she was convinced, one day carry her over the mountains to where it glittered on the other side. Peering through leaves, she sang silly songs to herself of the heroic deeds that she would one day be known for. Her audience of mosquitoes never applauded, but she curtsied.
Woo!
Such fine dreams she had. Oh yes, gossamer and grand enough to grow her up tall. But as the princess grew older, the dreams became more difficult. The people she lived with, thank you. Yes, the people she lived with, drunks, the lot of them, failed and flailed and broke things. They littered ash on shag carpets, and all the soap and rags she used day in and day out were never enough. So, hiding in quietness, she learned to live only when they were sleeping. And it was then, one night, when the witching hour found her tossing and turning, that she had a visitor. A mass of black sky edged by stars came in through the window and became a man.
Woo!
Oh yes. Faceless, nameless, but so warm. He wrapped himself around her and whispered promises of great love, the kind that lasts forever. But when the harsh light of day opened her eyes, he was gone. And so then she knew it was time to go find her prince and the castle that she belonged in. So the princess went forth into the mad, wide world with only her wits and an eager eye. She traveled through swamps and wastelands to a city on the other coast. It towered there, glistening with an arrogance too busy for castles. Stylish though the populace was, the only queens she met had Adam's apples. It was there, in that place of dirty snow and roaring tunnels, that loneliness found her. Dogged like a shadow, it clung and clung, forcing her to see princes in beggars and thieves. They mugged her affection, and soon on every corner they stood, accosting her with their open hands and closed hearts. After a while, pockets empty and a body too skinny anymore to give, she caught the first ride going east. On she traveled to a bricked island where ancient coal dust caused her to sneeze blackly for months. Castles there were, in spades, some still alive and pulsing with those who would rule, though their power had lost its meaning. Others burnt down, gutted, some spiderweb of ghosts. So many, but none of them were hers. Clang, clang, and church bell techno went the days, and wit starched and bit at her. But she was no longer lonely, for a band of hipster gypsies had claimed her from certain strayness, enticing her with their music and their cool, cool promise of love just for the sake of it. These lank-haired jesters would weave her fantastic tales amidst the fumes of red wine and Algerian hash. No matter that her bed was the floor, her shoes holed, and her riches only measured by her ability to get in the back door, she almost stayed. But a princess's life is not her own. Destiny demands that she make something of herself. Heroic deeds yet remain. And so she bid farewell and set out towards the sun. She stumbled onto a land of gargoyle-encrusted cathedrals and hot plazas. There she reveled in the pleasure of wearing next to nothing. Water lapped blue and soft against the city where poets raged for revolution. Harlots fluttered fans, and nuns roared by on mopeds.
Woo!
Inhaling the scent of heat-baked stone and faded glory, she clapped as bare-chested flamenco dancers pounded their feet against cardboard-covered pavements. And then one night, swaying through alleys, her skin red, she was touched on the shoulder by a tall, handsome stranger. He offered her a bottle of rum and called her beautiful. Obviously her prince at last, because who else would find her in such a marvelous place? Up against the statue of a bull, his hand so hot against her back. I am too cool for you, he said. And then pulling her in, I am too cool for you, but your slave, yes? His mouth smiled as he swallowed her up. Later, in a garden, he scaled a ball of dripping stone and brought her down a small violet flower. Smaller even than her thumb, so fragile, she was tempted to crush it. Running away with him, she traveled past stucco farms and tiled churches to a village where a wild sea roared up. It shook the shore and rose in white foam against the walls of a castle. She beamed. Here, at last, she had found everything she was looking for. Oops. But then, then the night came on. Disco neon whitewashed the beach and revealed the castle to be nothing more than a tourist attraction. Her prince, he laughed at her dismay, and in that light, he changed too. Not a prince. A Cossack maybe, heavy walking and loud. He called her a crazy gringa and dragged her down the street. She fought back, angry, but a little thrilled. In a hostel room with no glass in the windows, just shutters opening out onto winding streets, he used her. Entirely unconcerned with either her cries or her silences. She watched shadows dance around the walls. La 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 la. Yeah. Moment of breakdown. Okay, as she watched shadows dance around the walls, she felt almost relieved. Curious even. Sometimes it's easier just to give in. And then after, he would so tenderly cut her slices of cheese and murmur to her in words she could not understand. But not her prince. No, that he was not. Finally, she knew she had to go. She had to pursue sense and reason and what was good in her. Leaving him sleeping, she went and sat on a beach a little further down the railroad line. She sat for an entire day, and though the sand did not move, and no storm tossed, her mind waged such a battle with itself that Galahad would have wimped out by noon. The mud in her wanted to drag her back to him, fueled her desire to wallow and slide around in all that muck, licking it up. But virtue, that dim memory of royal hope, uttered a weak little cry and tried its best to win. Sunset went and came again, and still she was there, warring. Her own monster, the monster in her that failed and flailed and broke things, crashed swords with her shiny dreams, the ringing so loud the gulls flew away. Such a great thrashing went down that at the end she lay battered and bruised and half buried in the sand. Rising up and dusting herself off, she peered into the wreckage to see what the verdict had been, and there, virtue lay bloodied and dismembered. The princess had lost. What remained got up and went prowling. She went to go find the Cossack, but he had gone. No matter, there were more of him all around. One love, and then another, each with a little less possibility than the last. Boots left smears on her floor, and locks clicked against her. So she kept moving. She roamed so far and so long that one day, by accident, she ended up where she had begun. Home. Where wind flung itself off bridges and rainbows hung from lampposts. But it had changed, grown desolate and unfamiliar, or Was it that she was just grayer, fogged through and through? She had come to be fond of places only open at night now, and it was in one of these, dank and candlelit, that she found her reflection. There, in a small mirror at the end of the bar, she caught her face, etched with angles and the merest smear of lipstick proof that she had been slurring again. The whore stared back at her, weary, wasted, and reeking of melancholy. So wretched, she almost laughed. And then a thief came down and sat beside her. "Can I offer you a little company to while away the time?" he said, grinning. Snake charmer who knows his business. Closer and closer he choked, and as she almost strangled to sleep in that small corner, a wondering flashed up and asked her if maybe she had been wrong all along. Maybe she had never been a princess. She took off his crown, tangled up in her hair, and gave it to the thief. 2 bits and some change might get for that, mister, if you sell it right. She stood up into all of her length, stretching out, and sent her glass spinning. And then she walked out the door. Noise closed behind her, and suddenly everything was quiet. The air, cold and stinking of jasmine, shivered her up and clacked her teeth together. Holding herself close, she looked up at the sky. That huge, awesome expanse, and as she watched it, it spread and fell and glittered as it had always done. It hurt, that sight. But then, with a viciousness she did not think herself capable of, she yanked those gilded visions out of her eyes. And going on, she pulled satin ribbons from her mouth, vermilion, crimson, blue, indigo, bile-covered. And as her stomach heaved, out came all of that tawdry, ridiculous, terrible dreaming. Into the gutter it went, all of it. She spat and giggled and felt a lunatic as it sucked and slurped and flowed down and away. And then she sighed. A great heaving, empty, open sigh into the dawn. Because then she knew that it is just this, only this, forever.
Whoa!
And always. No princes, no castles, nope. Not a princess,
Woo!
or a saint, or a muse. Oh no. It's just me. And now is where my story really begins.
Woo! Whoa!
Some wait and see which way the wind blows. Don't you ever let nobody drag your spirits down. Up to heaven, won't let nobody drag me down.
You can do an encore if you want. Encore. If you want. Encore. Encore? Okay.
Encore, no. We got all these people to,
Okay.
make us happy now.
All right.